Welcome, Hajo. When I look into your background, you have more prizes than Zlatan Ibrahimovic. What does it mean for you to win a journalistic prize like the winners tonight?
I earn not the same money as Mr. Ibrahimovic, so maybe we should change something in the award ceremonies to get more money. No, prize is good to have, to be honest, but I criticized at some point to some degree that, at least I know that from Germany, that some journalists are always focusing on prizes and lose the real goal of our work, which is to do independent journalism and not about winning prizes, which is fine and it's good, it's an accomplishment, but I would say our main goal should be our work every day.
In the beginning of your career, you were part of the entertainment side of sports, that you call it, as a commentator of swimming. But when you criticized your own channel for not taking doping seriously enough, you kind of lost your job. How come you ended up working for the same channel, ARD, but doing investigative journalism?
You told me as I should answer shortly,
yeah.
But this is a long story. What can I do now?
Take it short.
I try to sum it up in 1 minute, okay? Yeah. I started in 1978 as a children's reporter in West Berlin before the fall down of the wall. Then I was not good enough. People told me my voice is too deep, so I have to leave. I was frustrated. I wanted to become a teacher. I was not good as a teacher, so finally I ended up in TV and radio again in 1985. And because I was a swimmer, I did swimming. Or I focused on swimming, and I was commentator for German television, ARD, for 14 years in swimming, but I began to criticize the way we are covering sports, because my feeling was that we just show the surface, but we don't look behind the curtains. And I was really pissed, to be honest, and I said to my colleagues, I don't want that style anymore, and they didn't like what I did, so they kicked me out in 2006. But the good thing was that at the same time, Mr. Fuentes, the Spanish doping doctor, was exposed, and they needed somebody to do that. So they asked me if I can do that because I'm so interested in doping. So I started with that, and it was more or less successful, our investigation. And then they created an anti-doping editorial team in ARD in 2007.
If you look around,
it was warm at 1 minute.
Yeah, but it was a very good answer. If you look around, why do you think that newspapers, TV channels, and radio do not put more resources into investigative sports journalism?
To be honest, I think I'm very clear on that. I think we need more, let's say, a better understanding what journalism also in sports means. I know many people in television in Germany, and I'm with them for a long time. I'm working now as a journalist for 35 years, and many of them, that is my feeling, are fans, sports fans. They like sports. They like the entertainment. They like to be part of the show, and they are not much interested. Not all of them, but a large portion of the colleagues. They are not much interested in unveiling stories to find out facts and what's happening in the backyard of sports. So that is a huge problem, and because this is, as I see it, as a fact, more or less, many people are not very much interested to spend money. And you have also to say that in Germany, at least, particularly the newspapers, they really suffer. They don't have enough money, and to be honest, investigation is very, very expensive. On the other side, we have TV rights. We've spent so much for TV rights, at least in newspapers, in television. So I think it's worthwhile to say, okay, we just reduce the money we invest in TV rights and we put it into investigation. That would be really effective, I tell you.
Yeah, because that's my next. The cost for sports rights are increasing, and what is the benefit for a TV channel to tell its audience that the competition is not fair, it's fake?
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, what's the benefit?
The benefit is that we are public run television. We are paid by the public. So our obligation is it to tell the truth. That's what we are paid for. So it's very easy for me, and that means if you are covering sports, which is fine, I'm not against covering live sports. What I say is we have to show both sides of the medal, because we need the full picture. And to be honest, what we have done, not only ARD, but globally, I say that really globally, we have covered for decades. We have covered sports fraud. That's what it was. It was Tour de France cycling, it was athletics, it was swimming, it was weightlifting, it is football. And what we have done for many years, we didn't tell the audience that you have to be careful, that you need some doubts what you see here, and we didn't do that.
How does the viewers and readers react when you tell them that their heroes are cheating?
I remember 10, 15 years ago that many of my colleagues and also the audience has been very critical towards our work and what we have done. They didn't like that we, in Germany we call that we put some water in the wine. That they didn't like that at all. So I said, okay, but there's no alternative. But many people criticize for what we have done. If you are in a sports entourage, if you are surrounded by people who like sports, it's not that easy. But I have to say, since, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years, it changed. So the people accept more and more our work because they see the impact. They understand, from my point of view, at least in Germany, much better, that sports is not only entertainment. It is corruption, it is sexual abuse, it's doping, it's match fixing. There are so many issues which need to be addressed, and people understand that much better. And my feeling is, at least in my country, that people have now, at least partially, a different approach to sports. They become more critical. And you will see that, for example, also in Sweden and in other countries in Europe. One outcome, one result of that more critical approach is that people get hesitant or reluctant if it comes to Olympic bids. They don't want Olympic Games in countries because they are now more aware about the side effects of Olympics, which is, from my point of view, necessary. As I said, show the whole picture.
Scandals, Tour de France and other places, and still a lot of viewers, both for it's a lot of viewers for sports, even though
Yes.
you've shown cheats. How come people still watching it?
Because sport is distracting from the reality for people. It's just sitting on the couch, being a couch potato, watching television, watching football. To be honest, I don't blame people for that. It's fine. They can do that. And they should do it. And public television has a task also to take care of people who like sports. So we cover sports, which is fine, as I said. But I think it's fair enough to say, if we show the 100-meter Olympic final, then we show that live, full, the whole event. But we also have an expert in the studio. We show a small piece, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes. We show all the dopers in the last couple of years which have been tested positive. That's what we do also. I remember 10 years ago when people in ARD told me, but Hajo, if we run that piece before the competition, we can finish the whole coverage because nobody wants to see it anymore. I say, yes, we have to do it. It doesn't matter. I'm not here for entertaining the public. My only task is to tell, the truth. That's what it is. And it was the truth. And finally, it has been confirmed. Let's see the Russian doping scandal. Let's see how more or less a whole country was cheating. Obviously, there was some truth in it.
You're honest that you're not a sports fan.
No.
And why ruin
why
it?
Why should I be a sports fan?
No, but
when I'm a political correspondent, I'm a fan of politics. No,
a lot of correspondents are. But
maybe that's another matter. Okay.
Okay, but you're not a sports fan.
I'm not a sports enemy.
How come you want to ruin the sport?
I don't want to ruin sports. To be honest, it's not my task because I'm accompanying what I'm doing. I just watch. I'm following what's happening. But what I can say, maybe we can talk about values. I think journalism has also to protect values. That is also, I see that as a public value. Sports is a public value. Sports is a cultural good. And to protect this cultural value or this cultural good from people who just want to get their benefit, their financial benefit, that I think it's necessary to work for. That's what I'm doing.
Whenever you discover kind of a doping scandal like in skiing or something, what are your feelings? Are you disillusioned or?
No, I'm not disillusioned anymore because I know so many stories. Why should I? No. And to be honest, my picture of sports or my imagination, what sports is, what sports should be, has changed within all the years I'm doing that now. And I tell you why. When I was a young reporter, I always thought there are black sheeps in sports. You have to blame them. These are the athletes. They are doping. They are cheaters. They are, in a way, they're betraying the sports values. I don't see that anymore. That's not that easy. The history of doping in sports is a history of cover-up of doping. That's what it is. Because it's not only a human being, an individual who is doing that, he needs people who help him to do that. If you see the East German doping system, it was a state-run doping system. If you see Russia, if you see China, it's a black box. But we did research in China. If you go to Kenya, there are so many countries where you can believe that's not only focused on individuals, it's about a system. We talk about systematic manipulation in sports, and what you have to understand, and this answer is maybe a little bit longer than 2 or 1 minute, but I think it's necessary to say that. What interest should the federation have to fight doping? What should be its interest? To be honest, if doping stays undetected, it's good for the athlete because he wins higher prize monies, he gets more sponsorship contracts. It's good for his managers, its agent. He gets more money because he gets higher percentages. It's good for the organizer of the event because more people are in the stadium, so more money. It's good for the TV networks because they have more attractive programs, so higher TV ratings. Good for the sponsors because it's longer TV airing time means more advertisement in television. They can sell their products better. It's good for the sponsors, for the politicians because they can argue why it is necessary to invest in sports. It's good for everybody. It's good for coaches, for doctors, for physiotherapists, for other people in the entourage, unless doping gets detected. Then it's exactly the opposite. From the win-win situation, it becomes a lose-lose situation. Everybody has a negative impact. So at the bottom line, the question is, why should entities, federations, countries, should really be interested to fight doping? And my thesis is, my theory for years is, that if it comes to the truth, they have to admit that the only problem is that we talk too much about that subject in public. That destroys the business model of sports.
This system that you describe, can investigative journalism change that system?
That's what we did. So again, we did a story about an Austrian cross-country skier in 2019, and he told us a story. I wanted to draw a picture. I wanted to show a psychogram of an athlete, why he's falling into the doping trap from the beginning of his career until the very end, and until he was caught and tested positive. At the very end, we found out that he was still doping. Not we found out, he admitted at the very end that he was still doping. And it was a network. It was not only him, it was organized by a German doctor in the southeast of the former East Germany, southwest, sorry. And this showed us that we are not talking about one person. We talk about many people, and we need whistleblowers. We had whistleblowers from Russia, for example.
Yeah, how do you make whistleblowers trust you when they come from Russia?
In 2014, we did some stories, small, tiny little, no, not tiny, but small stories, let's say. This one about Russia, and because they hosted the Olympic Winter Games in Sochi, and obviously a guy within the World Anti-Doping Agency who was desperately hoping that this story with the whistleblowers he knew about, but nobody knew about besides him. Nobody has any idea about it. So he said, okay, we cannot do anything within WADA because we don't have the jurisdiction in Russia to investigate. I will forward that information to Hajo. So he trusted me. And so I came in touch with the two famous Russian whistleblowers, Yulia and Vitaly Stepanov. And thanks to them, the whole Russian system was exposed at the very end. That means it's not me. The whistleblowers, they are the most important people. And to gain trust and to get in touch with them needs time. And ARD gives me the time. ARD gives not me, but gives us the money to investigate. We don't have to run stories within 3 weeks. We can do that in half a year or a year, and that helps to get in touch with people.
How did you feel when those stories stopped Russia from competing in Olympics? And
to be honest, if the outcome of my work is that they have acted against all rules, against all ethical rules in sports and all regulations determined by WADA and other international federations, I think it's a clear consequence that they have to be sanctioned. If they are not sanctioned, what message sends that to the whole world? If a whole country, the biggest country in the world, is doing that, the only answer can be they need to be sanctioned.
You're not very popular in Russia, as you know, in many other countries.
Many people know me there.
How do you handle the threats from like powerful states? I mean, it's been state-run doping in Russia and individuals.
Personally, I don't feel threatened nowadays. It was a little different 2-3 years ago when we have been in the middle of the storm, but I tell you, I predict that it will come again, and it will not take too long until we have the next Russian scandal. Just wait and see, it will come, I believe that. But regardless that, it's the German security authorities, they decided that it might be better to some degree that I get people with me who protect me if it becomes a little bit too risky.
Yeah, so you travel with security when...
Yes, I do that. I'm not sure about if it's really necessary nowadays, but if you start with that, then other people have to decide whether it is necessary or not.
One of your last stories about Russia is Russia cheating again. They've been tampering with data. They might miss the Olympics in Tokyo next summer, even the Euro 2020. What do you think will happen?
That's what I was referring to 1 minute ago. I don't know. In December 9th, there will be a next meeting of the WADA Executive Board. If the so-called Compliance Review Committee, which had checked and evaluated all the evidence in favor and against Russia, comes to the conclusion that they recommend a very strong sanction, which might be an Olympic ban, then we'll have the next episode of the Russian doping saga starting on December 9th.
In Sweden, the majority don't believe that our athletes are taking anything illegal. What's your take on that?
Swedish athletes are clean, no doubt.
All of them. You can sign on.
Yes, give me a paper, I sign it. No, to be honest, I don't know. I don't speculate about things I don't know about. But what I can say is that if I compare some countries in the Western Hemisphere, that means also my country, Germany, Scandinavia, countries in Scandinavia, also the United States. There are frameworks in place which at least make it more complicated to dope. That's not that easy. We have a public control, let's say, via media. We have a more or less efficient compared to others, doping control program in place. we have public prosecutors, we have police investigations, and we have anti-doping laws, which is not that bad. So I would say in some countries it's more risky to do that. That doesn't mean necessarily that they are better people. I just say that the framework of regulations makes it more complicated to cheat. In other countries like Russia, like China, for me it's a black box. Other countries, it's easier, and autocratic structures, even from the past, from the Soviet Union, for example, allow that you can do things and protected by several people in your very close, let's say, neighborhood, which allows you to do that. And in Russia, a system was working for many years, and it was only unveiled because of two very, very courageous whistleblowers.
Thank you very much, Hajo Seppelt. It's been a pleasure having you here, and thank you for your work.